Let's deal with the uncomfortable here. Joel Fitzgibbon walks. The speculation starts. But the great gift of Karen Rudd is that you need 60% of caucus to get rid of a leader that not even half of Labor supporters think is the preferred Prime Minister. So put simply, why does Joel Fitzgibbon leaving mean absolutely nothing or absolutely everything?
Well, obviously there's a significant dispute over the policy positions between Joel and Mark Butler, and the shadow cabinet has been working its way through that. And it's always disappointing to see the sort of public fight that's going on in the one sense. In another sense, it's good to see the Labor Party having a frank discussion about what went wrong at the last election. We had policies that didn't appeal, particularly to people in Queensland, particularly to people in Western Australia, that revolved around some of these key climate issues. And if we want to go down the path of losing 2013, 2016, 2019 and 2022, then let's roll up the same policies. But the robust debate is a good thing. And to Joel's credit, he doesn't believe that he can continue to support the position that he believes the party may adopt. I haven't spoken to Joel. I've only been reading it in the papers about the clashes. And so he stood down, and he deserves credit for saying, no, look, I can't accept the position being advanced here, so I'm going to step back, and now I'm free to speak as backbenchers are on policy issues.
Here's what he told PC a little bit earlier in the night. Roll the tape.
It's no secret that my mate Albo and I have had some dust-ups over recent weeks and months, but I think that's a good thing. I think that makes for a vibrant party. Anthony Albanese sat down, and I sat down after the last election. I agreed to withdraw from the leadership race and support his nomination, and since then we've been having plenty of robust debates. No, I think Anthony Albanese is that person. I think he's the best person to unite the various forces in the caucus, that is, the people.
Cory, I love reading political body language, and certainly when they start swaying, when they start looking down, they're saying the right things because it'll read okay in a transcript, but it's a little insight into their heart. Is Albo in as much trouble as I hope he is?
Yes, mate. Albo is not on the red carpet of the Senate or the blue carpet of the ministry or the green carpet of the House of Representatives. He's walking the green mile to that chamber of failed leaders. And it's only a question of how fast or slow he walks. Now, Joel Fitzgibbon, I think, has done a service to Australia and to the Labor Party, and I'll tell you why. The Labor Party needs to be more competitive. They've got to abandon some of this extremist claptrap that is luring them to the Greens if they want to reaffirm some electoral support. Now, I support the Liberal Party, but a decent opposition makes the government of the day a better government. And one day the cards will fall on the other side and Labor will have to be in government. And if they go down with a cash for clunkers scheme and no emissions and no cows and no agriculture, the country is toast. So we can't afford that. So good on you, Joel. I hope it ends up with someone sensible in the key environmental portfolios, energy portfolios, and in the leadership.
Pauline, we saw in the Queensland election that very obviously there was a number of people who traditionally voted Labor, moved across to your good self, went back to Labor. I would imagine once you're back on the ballot in 18 months' time, they're coming straight back to you if the party looks like the one that was there in 2019 or the one that Mark Dreyfus wants it to be in 2022.
Paul, you're exactly right. The whole Queensland state election, and talking to the opposition, talking to the Liberal Party, the government, is they believe this election in Queensland was only fought on COVID-19. People say, well, she's kept us safe. They didn't look at the real issues. They forgot about the real issues: escalating crime, the Native Vegetation Management Act, destroying the farming sector, no water security. They have no future plan for the state, and the budget is out of control, over $100 billion. So I do believe that people will, settle down. But when you come to Joel Fitzgibbon, I like the guy. He's a nice guy. right? But the whole fact is, let's be honest about this. Joel got a big wake-up call in the last election, and he came within 800 votes of losing his seat to One Nation. And the fact is that he thought, you know, mining sector, any seat, and he knew damn well that he had to change his tune. He's been pushing about supporting the mining sector, which is not in step with the Labor Party. So he's trying to bring them along and say, wake up to yourselves, because this is where it's going, because you won't change it. Because the Labor Party, even Shorten, he said one thing in Melbourne and he said another thing in Queensland, and they realised that we need the mining industry. So Joel Fitzgibbon has gone to the backbench, but I'm saying that, you know, if anyone's going to lead, and I like Albo, and I've been spent a bit of time with him and on a trip overseas with him, parliamentary delegation, but he's not a leader for the Labor Party. And, you know, I can't think of anyone else in the Labor Party that I can see as a leader. The only one that possibly could, and I think Joel Fitzgibbon would fit the shoe.